Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're diving into the world of one of history's most fascinating and misunderstood people, the Vikings. You might think you know them, horned helmets, fierce warriors, sailing the seas to raid and pillage. But there's so much more to the story, so sit back, relax, and get ready for 10 surprising facts about the Vikings that might just change the way you see them. Now, here's a fact that still blows people's minds. Long before Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492, the Vikings had already set foot in North America. Around the year 1000, Leif Erikson, son of Eric the Red, led an expedition west and landed in a place they called Vinland. Most historians believe this was somewhere around Newfoundland in modern-day Canada. That's almost 500 years before Columbus. They even set up small settlements, though they didn't last long due to conflicts with local peoples and the harsh environment. Still, it shows how far the Vikings pushed the boundaries of exploration. When people think Viking, they think swords and shields. But in reality, many Vikings were just as much traders as they were warriors. They built vast trading networks that stretched from Scandinavia all the way down to the Middle East and across to Central Asia. They traded everything from amber and furs to iron, silver, and yes, even slaves. Cities like Hedeby and Birka were booming trade hubs in Viking times. So while some sailed to raid, many others sailed to barter and build wealth through commerce. In fact, trade was often far more profitable than raiding. Here's something pretty modern about Viking society. They practiced a form of democracy. It was called the Thing, an assembly where free men gathered to settle disputes, make laws, and decide on important matters. These meetings could range from small local gatherings to massive national assemblies. Everyone had the right to speak, and decisions were often made by majority vote. It wasn't perfect. Women and slaves were excluded. But for the time, it was a surprisingly participatory system. In fact, some modern parliaments in Scandinavia trace their roots back to the Viking Thing. Forget the image of dirty, unwashed barbarians. The Vikings were actually very concerned with hygiene. Archaeologists have found tons of grooming tools in Viking graves: combs, tweezers, razors, and even ear picks. They bathed at least once a week, which was considered excessive by their European neighbors at the time. In fact, the Anglo-Saxons complained that Viking men were so clean and well-groomed, they were stealing all the local women. Cleanliness wasn't just about vanity. It was practical too, helping them stay healthy in cold, damp climates. Of course, we can't talk about Vikings without mentioning their legendary ships. The longship was an engineering marvel, sleek, fast, and versatile. It could cross open oceans, but also navigate shallow rivers, allowing Vikings to raid deep into Europe. Their ships had flexible hulls that could withstand rough seas and were light enough to be carried over land when needed. This incredible mobility is what made them so successful as raiders, explorers, and traders. Without their mastery of shipbuilding, the Viking Age would have looked very different. Thor, Odin, Loki. Sound familiar? That's because Viking mythology has left a huge mark on modern culture. The Norse gods were complex and powerful, and their stories were filled with drama, adventure, and magic. Today they live on in comic books, movies, TV shows, and even video games. But in Viking times, these gods explained the mysteries of the world, from thunder and lightning to life and death. The Vikings believed that after death, warriors who died bravely would be welcomed into Valhalla, a majestic hall ruled by Odin himself. Here's a fact that might surprise you. Viking women had more rights than many of their medieval counterparts. While they weren't equal to men, they could own property, inherit wealth, and even divorce their husbands. When men were away on raids or trading expeditions, women managed the farms and households, essentially running the economy back home. Some sagas even mention warrior women, known as shield maidens, though historians debate how common they actually were. Either way, Viking women were strong, independent, and played a vital role in society. Believe it or not, the Vikings weren't just raiders. They were also city builders. Dublin, the capital of Ireland, was originally founded by Viking settlers in the 9th century. They established trading posts and fortified towns all across Europe, from Ireland to Russia. Cities like Kiev and Novgorod owe much of their early development to Viking influence. These settlements started as camps or trading posts, but grew into thriving urban centers that connected east and west. So next time you think of Vikings, remember, they didn't just destroy cities, they built them too. And finally, the Vikings left a lasting legacy in the English language. Many common words we use today come straight from Old Norse. Words like sky, egg, knife, window, and even husband have Viking roots. In fact, the Vikings had such a big impact on England during their rule that their language blended with Old English, shaping modern English as we know it. So every time you look at the sky or crack open an egg, you're actually speaking a little Viking. So, which of these Viking facts surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this trip back in time, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an adventure. Thanks for watching. And until next time, stay curious and keep exploring history.